Hi, I'm just going to skip to the end. One of the reasons that the medications and the treatments and all of those programs don't work or don't work for everyone is because we're treating mental health all with the same medication, shall we say. And we don't do that with other things. If you've had a heart attack, it's treated different than a stroke. If you have a virus or something that got into your bloodstream that you can get back out, that's treated differently. We treat different things differently. With mechanics, you don't treat a car that's broken down the same way for a flat tire as you do for a problem with the injection system. We just don't. But we say mental health, and we expect the treatments to all work for all of the issues. And they're separate issues. Child abuse, for instance, would be more like a palsy or something that's in the nervous system, where the triggering mechanism, the whatever that takes something from your brain to your body, is systematic. It runs through the whole body. You learned abuse at the same time you learned how to read and write, how to tie your shoes, how to feed yourself, So child abuse is more of an internal, long-term, your body reacts to things without you actually necessarily making a decision. Whereas falling off of a ladder might be more like a flat tire or a broken finger or something, where it can be treated, that particular thing. You can take away the fire or the tire and put on a new tire. You can put a brace on the broken finger. So there's things that happened in a moment that could create flashbacks, nightmares, terrors. But you can actually fix those issues much easier than something that's systematic that runs through your whole core. Something like a tornado, hurricane, earthquake, that's going to be like a heart attack because it's something that happened that you had no control over, and it does affect your life every day. So if you've been in an earthquake and the ground underneath you shook and where your feet stand became unstable and things were flying and stuff, it's hard to get over that because the very thing that you've depended on day after day after day was no longer there. So we need to start treating mental health differently. They're not the same issue. The thing about a heart attack is once you've had one, people change their entire lives to try to prevent another one. They change their eating habits, and they're told that it could still happen again. If you live in an earthquake, maybe you move to an area where there's no earthquakes, but you still have that fear because the very ground you stand on could move at any minute. So you can make some changes and you can make some adjustments and you can try to prevent things, but you have that underlying fear afterwards that those things could still happen. So the medications, aversion therapy is one that I've definitely tried. Those fall into the same category. They're just treating the symptoms. They're not treating the issue. So if you have the flu or the cold, you have some chicken soup. And it is true that there's some health there, right? Because you're getting fluids and you're getting some vitamins maybe or whatever. But it doesn't make your flu go away. You know, we take Dayquil or NyQuil or something to help us not feel as bad. But the flu is still there. You're still carrying the virus. So are we just treating the symptoms or are we trying to get rid of the problem altogether? So that's why a lot of people go on medications or they do aversion therapy or they do something to make the symptoms better. But once they stop that medication or once they're exposed to that trigger or trauma, things feel worse. When you take Dayquil when you have a cold or the flu, when it wears off, you can tell you're like, oh, why do I feel so bad right now? And then it's like, oh yeah, I took my Dayquil this morning and it's 7 p.m. right now, so it's worn off. That's what's happening with the medications and the aversion therapy. You may not be feeling the symptoms at the moment, but that doesn't mean that the problem is solved. Now, the medications create some other problems too. A lot of people don't like the way they feel on them because they don't feel when they're on them. So that's why you go off of it. I'll do a whole segment on medications in and of itself, but I'm doing these videos and I'm like, I need to just skip to the end. That's the problem.